Welcome back to another episode of Building Up Your Business, the podcast. I am your host, Erica Dill with Operationally Up. Remember, we are here to help your e-commerce and consumer goods business grow with maximum profitability. We are here with another fantastic episode. Today, we're talking about tech and AI in the workforce, which everybody's talking about AI. Everybody's talking about how tech can help us do better. So I know this is going to be an episode that you're going to want to listen to. We are joined by Melissa Knoblock, which I just heard she's called Knoblock and Drop It. Melissa, that is the best thing ever. So when you think about this episode, think about Knoblock and Drop It because you'll never forget it. Melissa is a senior sales leader with nearly 20 years of experience helping companies solve workforce challenges. With a background in recruiting and talent acquisition across manufacturing, logistics, distribution, and aerospace, she has a proven track record of aligning workforce strategies with business goals to improve attendance, productivity, and retention. Today at Job&Talent, Melissa partners with HR and operational leaders to combine the flexibility of staffing with the power of technology, helping businesses scale during peak season, reduce turnover, and deliver better experiences for both companies and workers. And this is a hot topic nowadays. Other than AI, we're talking about how to create better environments for our teams, how to increase retention, how to increase attendance and performance. So I know you're going to want to be listening in. So Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Erica. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it's going to be a good one. And I want to jump straight in because I know we're all eager to hear more about AI and tech. So how is AI currently being used in recruiting and what benefits does that bring to both sides of the combination?
Sure. I think, across the board right now, this is going to vary a lot, right? Some companies are talking about it and some companies are actually doing it, right? So I think we're in that stage where there's a lot of talk, but how much implementation or action
Implementation.
Right? And I think there's a lot of uncertainty, right? Where to start? How do you begin? So I think that creates some of the differentiation between talking and actually implementing. I think in general, the key is using AI to be more efficient, right? There's the big talk and the fear of, oh no, we're going to take out the human element and all of that, but
replace
it doesn't
people,
have to be that way, right? Let's use it in a way that helps us be more efficient and helps us streamline processes and create efficiencies and make things more visible, right, across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where some of the key components and biggest advantages are, and you can do that in small doses. You don't have to go all out at once. And some companies are diving fully in. Obviously, the company I work for, Job&Talent, we've taken that head on. I've been finding big success in implementing AI for well over a year now. But again, not everybody's there. So I think the advantages are, if you look at it in the way where the goal is to be more efficient, I think you can get it started and have a better outcome, right? If that's the main goal. So for the management side, streamlining processes and efficiencies, giving that visibility, being more strategic. In my world, I'm talking about workforce. And when you have a larger, especially contingent or flexible workforce, having a way to manage that and have more foresight, right? And have more visibility into that, being able to make strategic decisions, it's a huge pro. That's going to make ultimately life easier, right? For the candidates, we all want an easier experience. Filling out job applications and going through the process can be, if you're talking to people, it's a nightmare, right? That's a really challenging space to be in right now, whether it's a really long process or that black hole process, whatever the case is. If you can implement AI to start streamlining that so people aren't left in the dark and people are getting the feedback and the answers they want, I think that's where you're going to make a big impact, again, on both sides.
Well, one of the things that people talk about a lot, and you kind of touched on a little bit, is, and it's not just in the job process or workforce management, but communication. That's a challenge that we're all facing. And if there's any way that AI can help to increase that communication, giving status updates, allowing for more eloquent language, I'm all down for it, and I'm sure you guys, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but Job and Talent, I'm sure, is finding all sorts of ways to increase communication.
And communication is everything, right? Don't we even talk about that in our personal lives? Or what's the number one reason for issues in a relationship? Lack of communication. Why wouldn't that apply to the workforce? Same deal. People want to be heard. They want to know where they stand. They want to know what this means. And the better you can communicate, the better, I think, in the whole picture all the way around. So if you can use AI to help you communicate more easily, then you're going to be ahead of the game.
And you hear a lot, I mean, there's so many benefits. We've only touched on a few, and we're going to get into more here in a little bit, but you hear about some of the risks. You hear from both sides of the equation about some of the risks. What are some of the risks that you know of and that you guys have experienced as far as using tech and AI in the workforce management process?
Sure. I think for us, from my viewpoint, from my lens, I don't know that I've seen a lot of the negatives. I think there are some there in terms of I already kind of touched on that, the change management piece. It's new. How do you get people used to and comfortable using it, right? Then
that AI mindset.
Right. Is this scary? Is this is new? I don't know how to do it, right? Those are some of the challenges I think that you can run into, but in general, I think if you're implementing it with the right mindset, with the right approach, the visibility, let's involve everybody, let's have the same. This is for support, not replacing people. I think your initial approach and how you say this is why we're implementing it, the better it's going to be received, and the less fear factor and all of that comes with it. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, please. No, please.
I think the challenges really just come around. People are, especially, again, talking about my lens, right? Manufacturing and distribution. There's there's already a lot going on. There's already deadlines. There's already fast pace. There's already expectations. And then you want to add another layer of some sort of task, right? That can be alarming and that can be scary. So the easier you can make it, the better, and the more you can sort of slowly implement it too. It doesn't have to be immediate. I think the results you'll see that this is helpful. This is a good tool.
Yeah.
It does make things more effective, right?
Well, and I know that you guys, from the way that Job and Talent approaches these things, is that they help companies implement these technologies. So, like you said, from your lens, you're looking at helping companies adopt these different types of AI and technology, which they might be a little bit more traditional. They might, not have that AI mindset. And so overcoming those challenges is probably key to how you guys implement.
100%. That's a big piece of it. You show people the talent, the technology, and they're excited by it. They can see what the benefits would be.
Potential.
But then
yeah.
Right. How? Right. Okay. Well, we'll help you with that. We'll help you with the change management piece. We can take baby steps. We can go all in. We can take our time. We can make this, hands off or hands on, and have our team, support you through the process. But it's easing into it is often much more well received. We find it goes both ways, though. We do have customers that are so excited and they're so ecstatic about ratings and feedback and how to use the tool, and they want to be all in. But other companies, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way, and other companies are,
right.
No, I don't need to add my plate. You do this piece. Well, you guys manage this process. We like that the visibility is there, but they don't want the extra work, right? I mean, who does? So.
Right. We're all overworked.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you kind of touched on is about that showing and that initial buy-in. And I think that's really important because some people don't, when we're talking about having an AI mindset and really thinking about the potential, those of us who, are using AI heavily, we see it, we live it, we breathe it, we've drunk the Kool-Aid. But some of us still need that, hey, show me how to use it and show me what to do and show me how it works. And I think that that's where, you're talking about, guiding people through and showing the benefits and showing the potential that it has. I think that really does help to educate people on the power.
100%. Well, and if realistically, if you think AI, I think sometimes it can seem very complicated or can seem overwhelming. But if I like to say, if you can shop on Amazon, which I'm pretty sure most of us do,
I mean, we're all slightly addicted, yes.
right? You can utilize, in our case, our technology. It's just as simple. It's just as easy. So it doesn't have to be overwhelming and scary. Really, the right AI and the right technology should be user friendly. It should be easy to navigate and manage. And I think that's, if a company is going to look at implementing some type of AI, that's a big piece you want to look at. How user friendly, how easy is it to use? Because if it's done correctly, it should 100% save you time and money.
Yeah.
If you're using it right, it should 100% do that.
That's why you're doing it.
Yep.
So if we think about some of the risks of utilizing tech in workforce management, the first thing that comes to my mind is replacing that human element. There's so many important things that we do in HR management and workforce management that having that human component is so important. And I know one of the things that you guys focus on a lot is implementing AI, but not fully taking away that human element. So tell us a little bit more about that and how you guys go about that.
And I think that's my favorite part, to be honest, because I very much believe that and who doesn't use ChatGPT, right? So if you can have a way to take some of the basic steps and streamline those and use AI to do the repeatable tasks, then it makes so much sense, right? If we're talking about recruiting, especially, anybody who's in that space understands that that's a highly involved role. There are so many things, so many tasks,
so many
right?
touch points. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So if you can streamline that and have AI do the stuff that's just repeatable, but leave then the human element into those final stages where we're talking about culture fit, and we're talking about you need people who are capable of fitting in small spaces in certain facilities, or people who need to walk huge manufacturing floors, right? There's pieces that AI cannot necessarily dig into, right? But in Job&Talent, we use more AI approach on a back end, right? So when a lot of times we're talking about companies that need to scale, they need to ramp quickly or scale quickly, and those are the moments that it makes a whole lot of sense to use AI, because we have our AI recruiter can make 3,500 calls a minute. You and I both cannot make 3,500 calls a minute. So, right? And when we're talking about hundreds of hires during peak season or thousands of hires during peak season, having that extra support, that's the technology that can do that for you is everything. You start with this huge pool of candidates and applicants, use AI to do the basic screening and vetting, bring it down to 35%. Now you have a more manageable task for your recruiters, right? They can dig in deeper, find out the next steps, meet in person if that's necessary, whatever the case may be. So you still have the human element. And even really, if we're looking at recruiting too and talking about that piece of it, you don't, and I hope, and I would assume most people would agree, that you don't really always know what you're going to get until you put somebody on the job, right? If we're talking especially skilled positions or manufacturing, you can ask all the right questions, you can do all the right interviews, but a lot of times it's not until that person is out on the shop floor or whatever the case is to see if this is really them, if this is going to work. Well, that's where the relationships then come in, right? Your recruiting team or the staffing company you partner with, whatever it is, they can manage that relationship from there and help improve retention, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be vetted out before that, right? You can make a difference and an impact after that point too. And that's where, from just a job and talent standpoint, that's where the technology piece and the AI part really comes in, so we can help companies scale and ramp quickly, but then still you have that support from our, whether it's an on-site manager or a recruiting manager, whatever the case is, to maintain those relationships with the candidates from there. Our technology does that too, but there's still, I like that we're not taking out the human element completely. I think you can't replace it. When we're talking relationship building and empathy and trust, that comes from a person. That comes from a relationship, right? Visibility and understanding where you stand and ratings and feedback and the initial screening questions, those kinds of things, that can come from a robot. But the rest of it, there's more to it. And that's what I like a lot about our approach, is that you still get both. And I think that's important.
Well, and you can almost look at it. I mean, I think we can all agree at some point you end up with a recruiting team and or an HR team that gets bogged down in the day-to-day tasks, the
Yeah.
paperwork processing and the filling out of things and their screenings and they don't have time for those human moments. They don't have time to build those relationships. And so all of that goes by the wayside. And, that could be a major cause to where our workforce is really struggling with feeling connected because they're not connected because the team doesn't have that time. And by adding that robot, that AI chatbot, that algorithm or that efficiency process, technology efficiency process, to taking away some of those repeatable mundane tasks,
Yep.
really unlocks the potential of your recruiting and HR team.
1,000%, because you only have so many, right? You only have
Right.
so much you can do. We all have a bandwidth, right? And so if there are pieces of that we can, again, use to scale or use to improve efficiencies, that's where it 100% comes in. And I recently went to a seminar, and I had mentioned this to you, where she had talked about the importance of feedback and how critical that is in a workplace. And how often do you find that people don't know where they stand until their annual review?
Yeah.
that's that's not helping anybody, right? If you know where you stand on a daily, weekly basis, that's where growth happens. That's where you're going to see improvements, again, whether it's good or bad, right? But you need the feedback to grow. And so if you can streamline that process, you can provide visibility into feedback alone, the changes you're going to see are just huge. We see that in our product, that just providing a way to streamline and make feedback visible to your workforce changes behaviors. It's exciting and it's to see, but it makes a whole lot of sense. People want to know where they stand.
Well, and that goes back to our previous conversation of C communication, right? Giving those leaders the chance to actually communicate. And, one of the things that I wanted to ask about specifically is taking and turning those elements and things into data points, right? So, now things are trackable and they have data points because you're using AI, but how does that really work when you're talking about some of these workforce management systems?
Well, that's everything, right? It's, again, back to talking about a larger workforce. If you're managing, 100 plus due to a seasonal peak, how do you manage that? How do you know day in, day out who's attendance and who's performing well and who's not? And are your supervisors, do they have the bandwidth to really provide feedback on a regular and consistent basis? So the answer is typically no. That's really hard to do. So streamlining that process and giving a tool and a functionality that allows you to do that on a repeatable, scalable basis is going to help make that impact so much stronger, right? You're seeing people are getting the feedback, they know where they stand, and then they can, we're finding with the workforce, it's creating a friendly competition too, right? So and so is at a 4.6 rating and someone else is at a 3.7, and they're like, oh, I want to be a 4.6. How do I do better, right? So they're motivated to do a better job because there's some underlying piece to that, right?
Well, and I'm an Orange Theory nerd, and they all say you're competing against yourself. I'm so not competing against I'm so
No,
watching
you're
the screen and
competing.
competing against
I think
others.
it's human nature, right?
It is human nature.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
sorry, I kind of digressed there, but that's where the KPIs, right, and the data that you can drive from that come from, right? You can track your workforce over a time period and watch improve. Look ahead of time for disengagement. Look ahead of time for where are there issues, are there concerns around, within Job and Talent's business app. You can actually rate the worker, can rate their shifts with happy faces or smiley faces or sad faces, right? So you can, as a supervisor or operations, you can take a look at which shifts are showing more happy faces, which ones have more sad faces, have some strategic conversations around those specific shifts, because you have insight to that information right there at your fingertips in real time. You can see, oh, there's a struggle on a shift. I got to look into that. Let's have a meeting. Let's have a discussion around it. So it's not just the workers get their performance ratings and you can see who your top workers are and who your not performers are, but you can see which shifts are the supervisors are top rated and which ones are not, and make strategic decisions around that. There's ways to track KPIs beyond that, right? Within our app that you can use to track all sorts of data within a manufacturing or distribution environment. If they want to track parts per minute, if they want to track OTIF, if they want to track performance and attendance, whatever it is, that KPIs are there. And now you have these tools, thank you to AI and data, to make more strategic decisions around your workforce, ultimately leading to better productivity and cost savings.
Yeah.
That's what that information, it's how you use that information, right?
I love that concept. So, of course, when we think about workforce management, we're thinking about the company down, right? How does the company manage the workforce, time and attendance and performance and things like that? But really capturing data of how the workforce is feeling. A lot of times we don't know a team member's unhappy until their letter of resignation is on our desk. So being able to capture how they're feeling about each shift, what an incredible insight that you can gain about an entire team or just one individual person. I'm sure you've seen that, the positive aspects of that come out a lot.
100%. The impact is just huge. When you're creating an environment, because you see a lot of talks around HR, around how do you create an environment where feedback is welcomed, where it's a safe place to truly provide feedback, good, the bad, on both sides, right? To the supervisors and to the workers. So when you have a way using technology to make that easy and to do that, the results are there. It's showing that people are going to feel more engaged. They're going to feel like they matter more, and there you get a better performing worker, right? It's a win-win on both sides.
Yeah. Well, and especially if you're talking about, a manufacturing facility where your production line may have, depending on how automated it is, it could have anywhere from 3 to, 10 people on a production line, or an entire shift can have way more. Getting feedback from each individual person on a regular basis could be very administratively cumbersome. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that technology can give that when it wasn't necessarily possible.
Sure. And I've talked to plenty of companies that love the idea of feedback. They want to have some sort of system, but they don't.
Yeah, but they don't.
They don't. And that's because I get it. Again, it's hard to implement that. Where do you start? Where do you go? What do you do? So I get it, but it is definitely an underutilized piece of information that's valuable to a company's success. It's that essential workforce. You're not going to get any product out the door. Your company's not making any money if you don't have people who want to produce and want to be there and want to show up every day, right? If you have consistently a revolving door, I guarantee your revenue numbers are suffering, right?
Absolutely. So I guess the flip side of that coin is we're talking about, how team members can feel engaged and, feel heard, but they also could potentially feel watched, big brother, micromanaged. What types of things do you do to kind of prevent that or help them to feel like this is a positive thing as opposed to something that's, very big brother?
Sure. Well, I think the easiest way is how you preface it from the beginning, right? I think it's almost worse. If you have an employee that you never share feedback with and they're suddenly underperforming or suddenly have issues, and then you want to go talk to them, that feedback may be taken really negatively because where did this come from? You've never given me good feedback. You've never given me feedback before. Suddenly you want to give me feedback. Oh, of course, when I make a mistake. Well, if that tool and that technology is allowing you're getting feedback from day one, and you know that this is how the system works, and that you can also then provide feedback back, then it's much more welcomed, right? It's all about how you introduce it and how consistently you use it. If we're just saving it for when there's a fire to put out or an issue, it's not going to be welcomed. If it's someone's being recognized for all of the good things they do, then it doesn't hurt so much when you point out somewhere they can improve, right?
Yeah.
I think it's all about how you approach it. Again, this is for support. so that when you have issues or things aren't, you're not producing at your best, or you're not performing at your best, or your attendance issues, that we can see as your supervisors or your HR team ahead of time what's going on. This is unlike you. This is not your normal pattern. Normally your attendance is really great. What's going on in your life? That it's a way to support you, not punish you, right? If that's how I would hope it's used, right? You use it that way to get the visibility for the good and the bad and the concerns before they become a big problem.
And I think that goes back to one of the things that I know I've always talked about in the companies that I've worked with is that you have to praise when there's good things as well. You can't just come at people with the negatives. And in this case, if you're implementing a new system and you're using it to constantly point at the negatives, you're going to have the same problem as you did before, which is what you're saying.
Yep.
But these types of AI and technology should help you to point out the positives as well. And by doing that helps team members to accept the program and the process and the efficiencies and the tech even more.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about, you kind of highlighted earlier about seasonal or flexible workforce. So how can AI and technology really help those companies that are very seasonal and are looking to bring on that flexible workforce?
Great topic.
Oh, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too. And it's the realistic, that 20 years in this space, that's a long time. And helping companies find people, if you are in that space, I guarantee you've heard it. People are hard to find. I can't find people. How do we find? So therein lies the issue. And then the other flip side is the complaint from the job seeker side is, how do you get feedback? I apply into a black hole of nothing, right? So if you're using AI the right way, you're going to use it to efficiently recruit and provide feedback and it should win on both sides, right? So for us, if you have to hire suddenly, you're going to hire, have a big seasonal peak, maybe it's a short 3 months, but you need to hire 1,000 people for that time, which that does happen. How do you do that? How do you do that without additional resources? Are you going to use 4 or 5 different staffing agencies to help you? And I know some companies do that, but that sounds like a headache to me. Sounds like
absolutely
managing your temporary workforce when you have 5 different agencies in your building. That's a lot to manage. So that's, again, Job and Talent. That's where we really come into play, utilizing our technology to help companies scale and ramp up quickly and efficiently, because we have the AI on the back end that can do 3,500 calls a minute, like I mentioned, right? We just filled 700 jobs for a customer in 1 week. Recently filled 1,800 new hires in 3 weeks. And I'll be honest, that wouldn't be possible if we didn't utilize AI on the back end to make our recruiting teams then that much more efficient in their jobs and in their roles. We're taking it through the process the rest of the way. That's the power in using technology. If a company is worried about how they're going to get all of the people in the door for this, specific amount of time, that's our strong suit. That's what we specialize in. And the fun part about it is with the use of AI and technology, we're also improving attendance. So, right, oh, great, you hired, 1,800 new hires in 3 weeks. What does that attendance look like? Well, our attendance is upwards of 99%. 99%.
Wow.
In light industrial manufacturing is unheard of. And
yes.
On top of that, we're talking about productivity increased up to by 32% for some customers. Our average is 15% in less than 8 weeks. And that's through workforce management tool, using the data and the visibility, gamification, ratings and feedback, and you get a better performing workforce in a short time to make that peak season, which I know so many companies dread. It's like,
yes.
Oh, don't talk to me. It's peak season, right? Or I got to get ready for that. Well, there's ways to make that. It doesn't have to be the way it's been for so long.
Right.
There's a new way to do things in a way that can make it so much smoother and more efficient. You just have to be open to it, right? We're all getting to that. I think we're getting closer where people are going to be more accepting to those changes. But 20 years in, and I'm still blown away by what we're able to do with technology to help companies through those challenging moments. It's exciting to be a part of because it's making such a valuable impact. There's the data to back it up. There's the numbers to prove it. And it's so fun to see because I have felt the pain for so many companies for so long when they're trying to ramp up or hire and they need people and they can't get them in the door, they can't keep them in the door, and now there's a solution out there that's changing the game. It's really fun to be a part of.
You've mentioned it once or twice, and I'm super curious to know. You talk about making 3,500 phone calls. Are you saying that the AI systems are making those phone calls?
It's one AI agent. Her name is Clara, and she makes 3,500 calls a minute. Yeah, and it's conversational. Like if you go to our website, there's actually a demo that you can see how she talks and asks questions specifically about the job and the location, the shift, the hours. To just again, it's that vetting process. It's that first step process that takes some time. But if you're talking about having, I've worked with companies that have 150, 200 plus employees, and they've got one HR team member who's doing all their hiring.
Yep.
Hiring is really hard right now. Getting people to respond, getting people on the phone, getting people to apply, reaching people. So if you can have an AI agent that streamlines that process and makes it that much more efficient, you're going to get to better candidates quicker, because that's what everybody wants right now too. We're talking about speed and how do you get people in the door fast. The longer that process is, the more likely you are to lose good people along the way. So let's help you speed it up and be more efficient. Quality doesn't have to suffer with speed.
Right. We always say, like, there's three things, right? Time, quality, and money. So if you don't have to sacrifice that, one of them for the other, like, well, sign me up.
Correct.
So, Clara, I am so, I love this, because they always talk about different, like, communication styles and different learning styles. And some of us like to do research and read and go at it that way. Others like to talk through their questions. So Clara will actually let candidates ask questions, almost like a chat GPT style, and she will answer them on the phone.
Correct. Yeah. Real conversational style. She will answer questions, ask questions. Yes. It's really cool. And this isn't something we're talking about. This is something that's been implemented for over a year now, that's having success with multiple customers across the globe. We're a global company, and the results are there. It's very, very exciting to see it in action and see how it works when you're talking 1,800 hires in a few weeks.
Right. Well, and so then does the company get like a transcript of that call to see the questions? Yes. And
it'll prepare then a little like summary of all the things that lined up, and then the recruiters at that point can go through candidates and kind of decide, okay, well, maybe we'll move forward with this one and stage, maybe it is another phone call or an in-person interview. Maybe a particular customer needs a specific test given, or another, something else that the candidate has to go through. But this way, you're starting this large pool, narrow it down to about that 35% of now vetted and matching candidates that the recruiter can then take it from there.
Well, and that's the whole point of that hiring process, right? You have different questions at different times, and especially if you're seasonal, you don't want to compromise that process, but you need to move through that process as quickly as possible.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's an incredible tool. So I want to leave us with one last question that I like to kind of ask all of my guests. If there is one takeaway or one thing that companies can implement tomorrow when we're talking about AI and technology in the workforce management, what would you tell them?
Well, I'm biased. But again, having 20 years in the industry and hearing the same pain problems and the same pain points over and over when it comes to hiring, I used to joke that I wish I had a magic wand. That's what I would say to my customers. I wish I could get some way to get people to show up. Well, I feel like Job&Talent is that magic wand. It sounds so corny, but it's the way it's data and technology, and what we've created as a tool is changing behaviors. It's solving those issues. I mentioned the attendance numbers, the productivity increases. Those are the issues at the root of everybody who's trying to hire a lot of people. This is solving that exact problem. So my advice would be don't be afraid to take a look at another way of doing things. Yeah. Just like I tell you, Uber reminds me very much of what we've done to the staffing industry. That's what Uber did to the rideshare industry. You kind of took taxi cab industry for what it was. the expectation, the bar was really low. We just
Right,
accepted it.
right.
And I feel like lots of companies are doing that with the workforce. We're talking about that essential workforce, that light industrial manufacturing space. This is what you're going to get. Everybody assumes this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Why? Why
It
does
is
the
what
bar
it
have to be
is.
that
Deal with
low?
it.
Yeah, no, but the bar can be higher. There are other options and other tools out there that can make that different, can make it better through technology and gamification and visibility. So don't be afraid of new. That, I guess that would be the biggest takeaway. Find a way to, whether it's slow or go ahead and try it all at once, but embrace the new. There are better ways out there to do things, and that just finding the right partner to support you through that change is key.
Yeah, absolutely. I love, don't be afraid of the new. Everybody, gets comfortable and stuck and not stuck. They just feel comfortable in it and they feel like I know this. It's comfortable. Let's keep it where it is, but sometimes you got to evolve and grow with the times.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
And if there's technology and uses ways out there to make your life easier, to make the process and what you're struggling with better, give it a shot. Then that's what that's what we even say. Like, try us, pilot us next to something else. Try us right next to what you're doing. If you don't see the value, okay, but the proof is pretty much there at this point. Like,
You're confident.
Right, pretty much. Yeah, give us a shot. Let us show you what we're doing different. Help you get through the challenging time and make it so much easier. That's all we want to do.
I love it. Melissa, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, AI is such a hot button topic, and we're talking about it in, different avenues, and this is one of the ones that I thought was a big pain point. So I'm glad you were able to share with us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us again on another episode of Building Up Your Business, the podcast. I am Erica Dill, your host with Operationally Up. And you can find all of the pros here, because remember, from bombs to order fulfillment, marketing to taxes, learn the stuff before you step in it. We will be back with another episode in 2 weeks. So until then, have a wonderful week, and we will bring you more content soon. Thanks.